Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Typhoon Wipha expected to make landfall late Sunday in the Chinese province of Guangdong. Hong Kong issues T10 warning for the upcoming storm. Key test for Japanese PM Shigeru Ishiba as nation goes to polls on Sunday. Issues like inflation, immigration in focus. Indian government convenes all-party meeting ahead of monsoon session of parliament, seeks support from all parties to ensure smooth functioning of both houses. India's top chess players eye semi-final spot as Game 2 of the quarterfinals of FIDE Women's World Cup begins on Sunday. Typhoon Wipha has been wreaking havoc even before the landfall. Forecasters predicted landfall late Sunday in the Chinese province of Guangdong before continuing westward, eventually reaching Vietnam later in the week. In Hong Kong, the powerful typhoon has already disrupted air and rail travel, and Hong Kong's airport authority has said about 500 flights have been cancelled, while 400 others are scheduled to take off or land later in the day. Hong Kong has updated the tropical cyclone warning from T8 to T10, expecting strong winds of over 63 km per hour and heavy rainfall. China's Hainan and Guangdong provinces were also put on high alert. The storm, after making the landfall, will continue to move west, reaching Vietnam later this week. Wipha, which in fact in Thai means splendor, also passed over the Philippines at tropical storm strength and drenched parts of Taiwan. In Vietnam, a tourist boat carrying 53 people capsized on Saturday due to the impact of Typhoon Wipha. The incident took place in Quang Ninh province of Ha Long Bay, a popular tourist destination in north of the country. At least 38 people have died and 8 remain missing. The vessel was carrying in total 48 passengers and 5 crew members when it capsized in UNESCO World Heritage Site because of sudden heavy rain. There was no official announcement on the nationality of the tourists as emergency crews kept looking for survivors. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh sent his condolences to the families of the deceased and called on the defense and public security ministers to conduct urgent search and rescue. Elsewhere in Asia, torrential rains continue to lash South Korea for a 5th day on Sunday, keeping nearly 3,000 people from returning to their homes. Rain is forecast to last until Monday in some areas as officials urged extreme caution against the risk of landslides and flooding, with warnings issued across most of the country. The downpour started on Wednesday and has resulted in 14 deaths, with 12 people missing, mostly in the southern and central parts of the country. A series of powerful earthquakes struck off the coast of Russia's Far East on Sunday, triggering a tsunami alert. The U.S. Geological Survey said 5.0 magnitude and 6.7 magnitude earthquakes did not initially trigger a tsunami alert, but were followed by a 7.4 magnitude quake, prompting authorities to warn that hazardous tsunami waves are possible. It said the tsunami alert zone applied for coastal areas within the radius of 300 kilometers of the epicenter in the Pacific Ocean. The state of Alaska site across the Bering Sea from the city, but no U.S. territory appeared to be in the alert zone. The epicenter was around 140 kilometers east of capital of Russia's Kamchatka region. The Kamchatka Peninsula is the meeting point of the Pacific and North American tectonic plates, making it a seismic hot zone. And in Syria, tribal fighters have been evacuated from southern city of Sueda and violent clashes have ceased. Country's Interior Ministry said late Saturday after intensive efforts by the Ministry of Interior to implement the ceasefire agreement following the deployment of its forces in the northern and western regions of Sweda Governorate. The city of Sweda was evacuated of all tribal fighters and clashes within the city's neighborhoods were halted. Earlier on Saturday, Druze fighters pushed out rival armed factions from Sweda after the government ordered a ceasefire following a US brokered deal to avert further Israeli military intervention. Security forces were deployed in the conflict region where heavy fighting between Druze and Bedouin armed groups and government forces has left hundreds dead so far. Kyiv has proposed to Moscow a new round of peace talks next week. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Saturday, hours after Russian strikes across Ukraine claimed more lives. 2 rounds of talks in Istanbul between Moscow and Kyiv have failed to result in any progress toward a ceasefire, instead yielding large-scale prisoner exchanges and deals to return the bodies of killed soldiers. At talks last month, Russia outlined a list of hardline demands, including calls for Ukraine to cede more territory and to reject all forms of Western military support. Kyiv dismissed them as unacceptable and at the time questioned the point of further negotiations if Moscow was not willing to make concessions. The Kremlin said earlier this month it was ready to continue talks with Ukraine after US President Donald Trump gave Russia 50 days to strike a peace deal or face sanctions. Trump also pledged to supply Kyiv with new military aid sponsored by NATO allies as its cities suffer ever increasing Russian aerial attacks. The European Union on Friday agreed on 18th package of sanctions on Moscow that targets Russian banks and lowers a price cap on oil exports in a bid to curb its ability to fund the conflict. Now, Zelensky has reiterated his readiness to have a face-to-face sit-down with Putin.
Security Council Secretary Umerov also reported that he had proposed the next meeting with the Russian side for next week. The momentum of the negotiations must be increased. Everything must be done to achieve a ceasefire. And the Russian side must stop hiding from decisions.
All right, news just coming in. Iran, Britain, France and Germany have agreed to hold talks on Tehran's nuclear program. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reported on Sunday that the decision was taken following warnings by 3 European countries that failure to resume negotiations would lead to international sanctions being reimposed on Tehran. Tasnim reported this, quoting a source informed with the matter. It added that the principle of talks has been agreed upon, but consultations are continuing on the time and place of the talks. The country in which the talks could be held next week has not been finalized. Japanese voters head to the polls on Sunday in a tightly contested upper house election, with rising prices and immigration concerns threatening to weaken Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's grip on power. Voting officially began at 7 local time. Barring certain regions, polling will remain open until 20:00 local time. The House of Councillors is made up of 248 members with 6-year terms. Elections are held every 3 years with half the seats up for grabs each time. Voters are weighing in on total of 125 seats, including one where a contest is needed to fill a vacancy. Opinion polls suggest Ishiba's Liberal Democratic Party and coalition partner Komito may fall short of the 50 seats needed to retain control of the 248-seat upper house of parliament. Ishiba's administration lost its majority in more powerful lower house in October. The polls show smaller opposition parties pushing for tax cuts and increased public spending are set to gain, among them the right-wing Sanseito, which vows to curb immigration, oppose foreign capital inflows and reverse gender equality moves. After the election, Japan faces a deadline of August 1st to strike a trade deal with the United States or face punishing tariffs in its largest export market. Australia's island state of Tasmania appeared on Sunday to be heading for a minority government as vote counting continues after an election that did not produce a clear winner. The Conservative Liberal government was on track to win more seats than the main Labour opposition in the new parliament, but would probably fall short of a majority, in fact, after Saturday's election. The Liberals' strong performance under Jeremy Rockcliffe, Premier since 2022, follows a heavy defeat suffered at May's national election, which returned Anthony Albanese-led Labour for a second term with an increased majority. The only Australian state to elect its lower house on the basis of proportional representation, Tasmania, has a long history of minority governments. Wilderness or protected areas make up 40% of the island, which is 445 kilometers away from Melbourne, usually requiring a flight of an hour or a ferry crossing 10 times longer to cover the distance. The Trump administration's decision to slash nearly all US foreign aid has left dozens of water and sanitization projects after half-finished across the globe, creating new hazards for some of people they were designed to benefit. In Kenya's Taita Taveta, a largely rural county that has endured cyclical drought and flooding, workers had only managed to build brick walls along 220 meters of the 3.1-kilometer irrigation canal, which they were ordered to stop. The community has asked the Kenyan government and international donors to help finish the job at a projected cost of $526,000. The Trump administration and its supporters argue that the United States should spend its money to benefit Americans at home rather than sending it abroad, and say US aid has strayed from its original mission by funding projects like LGBT rights in Serbia. The US Immigration and Customs Enforcement is racing to build migrant tent camps nationwide, aiming to expand detention capacity from 40,000 to 100,000 beds by year-end. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement is prioritizing large-scale tent facilities at military bases and ICE jails, including the sites in Texas, Colorado, Indiana, and New Jersey. Officials of the US Homeland Security have expressed the preference for detention centers run by Republican states and local governments rather than private prison companies. Early this month, the US Senate passed a budget reconciliation bill that includes a fund of $45 billion for building new immigration detention centers. The CEO of an American tech company resigned Saturday after a video of him embracing an alleged colleague at a Coldplay concert on Wednesday went viral and fueled relentless memes. Astronomer CEO Andy Bryan and company's chief people officer Christine Cabot realized they were being shown on a jumbo screen inside Gillette Stadium as they embraced. Bryan ducked out of sight and Cabot covered her face with her hands and spun around. Netizens immediately went to work and identified Bryan and Cabot by their social media profiles before the company confirmed their identities. The video has garnered millions of views on TikTok and other social media platforms. All right, let's see what's happening around the world. A Delta Airlines flight bound for Atlanta had to make an emergency landing back to Los Angeles International Airport after an engine reportedly caught fire shortly after takeoff on Friday. In the video released on Sunday, flight DL446 operated by Boeing 767-400 was seen mid-flight with flames coming from the aircraft's left engine. However, no injuries were reported and fire crews extinguished the fire on the runway. At least 9 people were shot dead Saturday while playing pool in a tourist city in southwestern Ecuador. A group of armed men opened fire on several people at a bar in working-class neighborhood of General Villamil Playas, a coastal city in the southern Guayas province and destination for local tourists. Police said 2 people were injured in the attack and treated at a local hospital. A 29-year-old man suspected of driving his car into a crowd outside a Hollywood nightclub in Los Angeles has been arrested. The suspect, identified as Fernando Ramirez, was booked into custody and charged with assault. 30 people were injured in the incident, of which 7 victims are in critical condition, 6 in serious. Los Angeles mayor called it a heartbreaking tragedy and the club expressed sorrow. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Well, we'll tell you about India's advanced malaria vaccine. Stay tuned. And Transport Department conducts awareness drive in Jammu and Kashmir's Ramban. More details ahead. The Fit India Sundays on Cycle campaign continues to gain momentum across the country.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. The Indian government has called an all-party meeting ahead of the monsoon session of the parliament beginning on Monday. During the meeting, the government sought cooperation from all the political parties to ensure the smooth functioning of both houses of parliament. The monsoon session, which will be held from the 21st of this month, will continue till the 21st of August. During the session, there will be a total of 21 sittings of both houses. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju said that the government is open to discussion on all important matters like Operation Sindoor.
We are very open to discussion on important issues like Operation Sindoor, related to all the incidents right from the attack in the Pahalgam. These are issues of great national importance. Government is not shying away from discussion. The only thing I'm saying is we will discuss under certain rules, certain procedure, with a convention which is there before us. So government will never shy away from discussion unless it is prevented under certain rules or under certain provisions.
Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi said that Pahalgam is among the main issues that the party will raise during the monsoon session.
The issues that we deem are important in this session are Pahalgam, are the conflict on our borders, especially with countries coming together to form a two-front axis, and also the right of every citizen to vote, and the concerns regarding the special intensive revision in Bihar.
Moving on now, the free trade agreement between India and the European Free Trade Association will come into force from October 1st. India and the four-nation European bloc EFTA signed the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement on March 10, 2024. Under the pact, India has received an investment commitment of $100 billion in 15 years from the grouping, while allowing several products at lower or zero duties. The European Free Trade Association members are Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. The bloc has committed an investment of $100 billion, $50 billion within 10 years after the implementation of the agreement, and another $50 billion in the next 5 years, which would facilitate the creation of 1 billion direct jobs in India.
All the four countries have ratified the FTA, lodged their documents with the repository, which was Norway, and from 1st October, EFTA will come into effect. And they are taking it seriously. They are continuously looking at India as an investment destination.
Youth Spiritual Summit 2025, which was hosted by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to combat drug abuse, was concluded on Sunday in Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh. At the historic summit, the transformative Kashi Ghoshna Patra, that is Kashi Declaration, is being released, which is a powerful commitment to build a drug-free developed India. Union Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports Mansukh Mandavia said that after 3 days of brainstorming, a roadmap has been released to fulfill the commitment of Viksit Bharat.
देश के युवाओं की आकांक्षाओं को पहचाना और देश के युवाओं की आकांक्षाओं को सिद्ध करने के लिए युवाओं को ही सिलेक्ट करा। और जिस युवा इस रास्ते पर चलने वाले हैं, युवाओं के सामने क्या चैलेंज है, इस चैलेंज को एड्रेस करने के लिए हमने 3 दिन तक चिंतन मनन करा है। और 3 दिन का चिंतन मनन के आधार पर आपके सामने एक काशी संकल्प पत्र के रूप में हमारा रोड मैप को इंडिकेट करा। हम कैसे संकल्प को सिद्ध करेंगे, उसके लिए संकल्प के पर कई बिंदु आपके सामने रखा गया।
In a bold move to combat malaria, Indian Council of Medical Research has developed an advanced malaria vaccine named Adva Falsivax. This vaccine will prevent Plasmodium falciparum infection in individuals and minimize community transmission. To expedite production, ICMR in New Delhi has initiated agreements with private companies. In 2023, an estimated 260 million malaria cases were reported globally, an increase of 10 million compared to 2022. With this vaccine, India will not only strengthen the protection of its population, but also contribute significantly to global malaria eradication efforts. Let's take a look at other stories making news today. Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, showered flower petals on Kawar Yatris in Meerut, extending a warm welcome to the devotees undertaking the sacred pilgrimage. He also conducted an aerial inspection of Chaudhry Charan Singh Kawar Marg and the Meerut Muzaffarnagar road. He also cautioned against attempts to defame the religious fervour. A landslide occurred near Dewal Bridge at Samroli village on the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway in Udhampur on Sunday. The landslide resulted in the blockage of upper tube towards Kashmir. The army detachment was deployed into the area for immediate response. The Transport Department of Ramban, Jammu and Kashmir conducted a special enforcement and awareness drive across the district, including Jammu-Srinagar Highway, Ramban, Maitra and nearby areas. During this operation, authorities issued 77 challans, impounded 28 vehicles and suspended some licenses that were found to have serious violations. And India's Koneru Hampi, Harika Dronavalli, Vaishali Ramesh Babu and Divya Deshmukh will be in action in the Game 2 of the quarterfinals of FIDE Women's World Cup on Sunday. Koneru Hampi registered a crucial win, while Vaishali, Divya Deshmukh and Harika Dronavalli played out draws in Game 1 on Saturday. Hampi only needs a draw on Sunday to become the first ever Indian woman to reach the semi-finals. The experienced Harika held youngster Divya to a draw, while Vaishali secured a draw against China's Tan Xiongyi. The World Cup offers 3 spots to FIDE Women's Candidates Tournament, which will take place in the first half of 2026. The Fit India Sundays on Cycle campaign continues to gain momentum across the country. In New Delhi, the event was flagged off from the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. This edition saw enthusiastic participation from school children, athletes and fitness influencers. Here's more.
The latest edition of Fit India Sundays on Cycle was aimed at creating awareness against substance abuse. Beginning from Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, the event saw participation from thousands of children, teachers, fitness enthusiasts and renowned cyclists from the sports world. On this occasion, the Director General of the Sports Authority of India, Mayank Srivastav, said that Sundays on Cycle is receiving tremendous support across the country and millions of people are now associating with this movement.
आप कोई भी एक्टिविटी, फिटनेस वाली एक्टिविटी आधे घंटे कीजिए और अपने आप को फिट रखिए, लोगों को मोटिवेट कीजिए कि वो अपने आप को फिट रखें और जो लाइफस्टाइल बॉर्न डिजीजेस हैं, ब्लड प्रेशर, शुगर, ओबेसिटी, इन सब में हम काम कर रहे हैं, उन सबको खत्म करें.
The campaign has been gaining support not only from the public but also from professional athletes. They believe it will play a crucial role in keeping the youth fit and healthy.
जब आप साइकिलिंग करते हो तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही फिट रहते हो, तो साइकिलिंग करना चाहिए और फिट रहना चाहिए.
मोटिवेट है सब लोग यहाँ पे, काफ़ी अच्छा म्यूजिक है यहाँ पे और उन लोग काफ़ी मोटिवेट लग रहे हैं मुझे सारे बच्चे. तो मुझे लग रहा है काफ़ी अच्छा फ्यूचर होगा स्पोर्ट्स का, क्योंकि ये एक काफ़ी नेक्स्ट मुकाम तक पहुँच चुका है ये फिट इंडिया.
The government is making continuous efforts to engage youth and ensure their participation across all sectors. A healthy, fit generation will lead to a stronger and more prosperous India. Sushil Kumar's report for DD India.
Sports Minister of India, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, led the special edition Nasha Mukt Yuva for Vikasit Bharat of nationwide Fit India Sundays on Cycle from the Banaras Hindu University campus in Varanasi. The 32nd edition of the event was organized at 6,000 locations across the country in partnership with several educational institutions, including Central Board of Secondary Education. The event aimed to raise awareness against substance abuse and promote an active and healthy lifestyle among people.
6,000 से अधिक स्थानों पर देश की विविध एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ने संडे ऑन साइकिल में भाग लिया है. संडे ऑन साइकिल देश में मूवमेंट के रूप में, एक अभियान के रूप में चल रहा है। साइकिलिंग फिटनेस का मंत्र है, साइकिलिंग पोल्यूशन का सॉल्यूशन है।
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.